I had prepared the speech, but I was told I have just 5 minutes to go. So I say the fundamental. The fundamental is this one. We have two issues at stake this afternoon. One is the cooperation in the future between Portugal and this university. We have already here someone working, Portuguese people working here, Inês, for instance, and another couple, 4 at least. I met 4 postgraduate students and graduate students. We want much more than that. We want you to come to universities in Portugal. We want Portuguese students and postgraduates and professors to come here to Stanford and learn. And that's the beginning. You know a film called Casablanca? No, only old people like me. Well, some exceptions. At the end of it, it should have called Flying to Lisbon, but finally they chose Casablanca. And then at the end of it, the hero flies, Humphrey Bogart, he flies to Lisbon during the Second World War. And he says to an officer, French officer that has saved his life, this is just the beginning of a long-lasting friendship. That's the case here. This is not the beginning because the delegation, state delegation has been here in the beginning of the year, and then later on 2 months ago. So we started our talks before, but now that's the moment of the beginning of a lasting friendship. That's one issue. The other issue is what we are discussing this afternoon, and they are connected. The reason Stanford is special is because of this school and because of the subject that is one of the leading issues in the present and in the future, sustainability. That's it. And Portugal has very special conditions to make not just an agreement with this university, but with this state, California. We have so much in common, not just the nature and the climate and the people and the strong Portuguese communities here work in the valley. Not just the past, but the present, the future. Because we are worried with sustainability. And Portugal in Europe was, if not the first, one of the first to understand it and to face that challenge. We did it ever since the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s. Not a long time ago, but really a long time ago with the acceleration of history. Many other European countries considered we were crazy when we spoke of decarbonization and renewables. And in fact, in renewables, don't do it. It's expensive. It's stupid. It won't be profitable. But it was profitable, but much more than that. It was the future. Now we have 60% of our energy coming out of renewable. And by 2030, there'll be 80%. We are studying the issue of green hydrogen to complement renewables, having the idea that any other kind of sources are either avoidable, immediately avoidable, or in the medium term, transitory. Perhaps, who knows, the case of natural gas. And so we have made an option. We have a plan to anticipate the targets of the European Union and the global targets adopted for 2050 and 2030. We think it's too late by then. It is too late by then. And that's why we started early. We have a kind of a national agreement on the subject among parties. There is a continuity in the politics of different governments, right-wing, left-wing governments. It started with a left-wing government, then with a left-wing one, a right-wing government went on the same path. And now left-wing governments, the last 2 or 3, have followed that very same path. And this is very important because it means that we are sure we won't change the cap. And it's not just the opinion of several scholars. It is the position of our public opinion. There is a national consensus on that subject, which is not just energy transition. It is the oceans. We've held a conference, the most global conference on the oceans, 2 months ago in Lisbon, 3 months ago in Lisbon. Biodiversity. Other fights for decarbonization. The financial covering of these options. Investing means financing this investment. And when people start finding out in Europe that there is a need of a change on energy, as one is also thinking of changing the cap on the digital revolution. And we have had in Portugal every year Web Summit. We have in Lisbon had, as in Portugal as a whole, an investment in startups. We have 7 unicorns for a country of 10 million people. It's a very high average proportion for this population. This means we consider that education, research, science, technology, innovation, talent, but also economic development of science and technology must match with energy transition and digital transition. There is no time left to just choose one of these issues. We must tackle them all together at the same time. Of course, you can say, but Portugal isn't it an European country and getting older? Happily, we are open-minded concerning migrations. And this means that migrations are, in a sense, so very much important, dealing with this slight, I would say, weak point of our older population. Aren't you perhaps a little bit too bureaucratic? Are you creating conditions for investment in this sustainability? And the answer is yes, yes. On those fields, bureaucracy has not won. And the tax system is not creating difficulties. So, this to tell you that at the beginning of this talk, and my speech was different. I was speaking of California and how California and Portugal were very similar in so many points and so many choices. But coming back to Stanford, we have 3 or 4 priorities besides the one, the exchange of scholars, the oceans. Second one, renewables. And the third one, the wildfires. This is a problem that has to do with climate change, and that you are addressing here in the States and in California too, and that is a problem we must try to deal with scientifically, technologically, studying, researching, cooperating, developing in common our knowledge. That's why the presence of this academician, as it was told, yes, that was the choice of my life, not being president of the Republic. Nobody decides at the age of 10 or 15 or 11 or 17 or 20, well, my future will be president of the Republic. No, my future will be a university professor, academician. And is, by chance, a very happy occasion, the one of being an academician here, speaking in a very famous and prestigious university about the future. Sustainability is the future. And Portugal is ahead concerning that future, at least when thinking of decarbonization and energy. So let us speak about it, knowing that at the end of the day, this will be, and you will recall it later on, the beginning of a long-lasting friendship.